The company marched north after a brief stay with Beinion, Arin, and the newborn Baeron. Much to their surprise, the Vale of Gold proved to be a fruitless destination, as the recipient of Floki's letter, Flonar, was found dead and mutilated along with his kinsman. Whether it be ill fortune caused by the felling of a white stag by Thrush is anyone's guess, but there were stragglers about. Goblins, at least a dozen, still bickered over the effects of a dwarf. The company took them unawares and made short work of them. Now all that's left is what to do about the prisoners that were taken by the Orc Horde that now heads back east.
When last we left off, you all had made your way from the house of Beinion and Arin northward for about a 2 days travel and found the Vale of Gold. And on top of one of the hills, you had spied a dwarvish settlement, or what was a dwarvish settlement either way. It seems as though the dwarvish settlement had been razed. Many of the outbuildings had been burned to cinders, the only thing that lies about being the stone foundations and cellars which the kind of ramshackled houses had been built atop. You also saw that there were many, many corpses lying about what was once a battlefield. Many orcs lay dead along with many dwarves, crows kind of pecking at entrails and wounds. And finally, as you rounded a curve, you saw that they had tied Flonar to a statue and attempted to behead him. They cut off his right hand, relieved him of any of his effects that he may have had, but still there was a silvery chain clasped to his neck. A chain which had seemed to have had something made of iron hacked from it. And as you all dug a grave for poor Flonar, Aranel and Miragar, despite a couple of stragglers fighting over some jewelry over the corpse of what is a dead female dwarf. And so they did battle and promptly trounced a dozen goblin archers. And now here you stand in the Vale of Gold once again. What is your next course of action?
Well, I got wounded, and we haven't done a healing or to see if I can reduce the number of days on the injury yet. So I
can do that.
Yep, and I will spend a hope to assist you.
Okay.
Which means
I'll
2.
use my ointment, so
Yeah.
we'll max that out with 3.
Yep.
And sure, why not? Let's
see how many days we can get off this wound.
1, 2.
Yep.
So 2 successes. So is that 3 days?
I think that's 3 days off. Yeah.
3 days.
Yeah.
All right, down from 9 to 6. I will take that. And
very nice.
Actually, I will take a draft of the tonic we have and drop it down another.
Very nice.
Good call.
Right.
Good call.
So 5 days on that injury left to go. You
And then-
immediately feel much better.
And then Thrush, you are wounded as well. Did you get wounded to this fight, or are you still wounded from previous?
I believe this is the previous wound because it's
Okay.
still
It
down.
was from the troll fight.
5 days. Yeah, and I think,
Yeah.
yeah, okay. Okay.
It's now at 5 days. Yeah.
And you all might remember that poor Larry once again got poisoned by an orc arrow. Seems as though he might be a bit of a magnet for that kind of thing.
Yep.
They can't beat me conventionally. That's just what it is.
And so, if you would like to attempt another healing roll, you've successfully treated his wound to the best of your ability. But if you would like to keep the progress of the poison at bay, you can attempt another healing roll if you'd like.
Yeah, I will do that. And now my special items I can use on any time. There's not like a limit per day or anything like that, right?
What are your special items again?
I have like healing bombs and ointments.
Balms and ointments.
And
Yeah.
fireworks.
I mean, I would say that that's that's fine.
So those again. I'll throw a hope point at it. Oh,
Wow.
Nice.
Okay.
Extraordinary success. Very good.
Not
with
take
2
damage-
success die.
I will not take damage from the poison today, but I believe only a Gandalf room removes it.
Correct. Yep.
Mhm.
Thank you, Miragar. I'm feeling quite a bit better after that, but, well, poisoning is never a pleasant experience.
No, not at all, and the wound will not heal until your body can overcome the poison itself. But I'll keep doing what I can for you every day.
Of course, I appreciate that, friend. Now, what were these goblins looking at? Just trinkets?
I think it was a body, wasn't it? And then they called up to dwarf runaways.
Yeah, and as you kind of look down, if you go and venture down at what they were looking at, you do see a female dwarf down there laying dead, her throat slit. But you see there are a few articles kind of lying about her. You see a couple of rings, a necklace. Nothing that imparts to you that they would be of ancient significance or royal value. But they are.
I was going to say, is there anything that maybe indicates what clan or the like they are, so maybe we could at least pass along these things if we encounter other dwarves?
Sure. I would say go ahead and give me a lore roll if you would. None of you speak Dwarvish or can read Dwarvish runes or anything like that, so yeah.
Well, I only have one die, so... Nope.
Okay. Yeah, unfortunately, the Dwarvish tongue is a bit too foreign to you.
Well, fortunately, I can't read Dwarvish, otherwise I would know whether these are important family heirlooms or not. Perhaps we just take everything and put it all in one place, so if anyone comes looking through, they'll at least know where it all is.
Yeah, I say we, if we're not going to take it, bury some of these trinkets and things so that we can either tell someone where to find it or come back for it at a later time.
Yes.
Make a cache of it all.
Mm-hmm.
I'm wondering why they knew or how they knew to come here and attack them. Why they knew.
Well, I'm guessing it had something to do with how they accessed Moria.
Well, I mean, we've heard now that there have been multiple. Are they called tribes? What do you call orcs? Hordes?
Warbands? I don't know.
Warbands? But we've heard that there have been a few all over the area. Up here, down near Therabad, we met Ash or whatever his face is, and so either they're looking for dwarves, they all kind of spread out, or these dwarves made enough noise to bring the attention of the orcs and goblins that were already here.
Well, based on what people have said, I think this was the same group we encountered some time ago.
So then they're just hunting for these dwarves.
Yes.
You would know, actually, you would notice that the brands from the Ettenmoors that is on the armor of some of these goblins and orcs is actually not the same as what you had encountered back at the Grave of Daor.
Okay.
Yeah, I didn't think they were the same horde. They could be working for the same chieftain or something. I think we need
a fair distance off, so they came here with purpose.
Yes.
I think we need to investigate the town more and see if there's a journal or something from any of these dwarves we can find.
Yes.
I don't know if maybe Larry and Aranel, you guys want to see if you can find tracks for any dwarves who ran.
We can certainly try.
And me and Thrush can maybe investigate to see if we can find any notion in town. He'll hand Larry a firework and say, "Well, if you run into more goblins, I guess this could be our signal."
Well, it worked before, so. Come on, now let's see if we can find anything.
All right.
All right.
So Aranel and Larry, you make your way around, kind of searching for tracks, searching for stragglers, anything like that, people who may have fled from the battle. Go ahead and give me a hunting roll or either an awareness or a scan roll.
Ooh, if you're giving me the option, I'll do awareness. Because I will break your computer.
Okay.
I beat Larry by 1.
But look how few dice I haven't.
All right. So, Larry, you kind of peruse around the battlefield, looking around, and you can tell that the dirt here has been churned to the point where it is the area itself around this hamlet is nothing but kind of a ruinous muck. There's no grass. All the grass has been upturned, and there's nothing but footprints that lie around, intermingling with pools of blood that kind of gather in divots in the ground. However, you do spy that there are a number of what look to be trails, footprints, tracks, which lead kind of down off of the hill. And as you're kind of following them, Aranel, you can plainly see as you kind of scan about, you can see that at a certain point you see a bunch of carrion birds fly up from a number of points in the surrounding fields and on below the hill. And you would guess that whatever they were probably feasting on is probably dead at this point. Now, however, you do spy also, Larry, as you're kind of perusing around, I believe I mentioned it last time, where kind of near where they had strung up Flonar, you do see a path which leads down the hill. And you can tell that there was a great host that made its way that way. And it seems as though there were a number of individuals which were dragged, or at least not moved by their own will. Thrush and Miragar, what exactly was it that you all were looking for?
I think we were just gonna do a better looting of the town to see if there was like any documents,
Journals.
or kind of gather what they were doing here. And if we stumble upon somebody's diary saying 3 nights ago I've seen the shadows move and orcs were around or something like that, then better for us. But anything we can find, maybe.
I would take probably there'd be an explore and or a scan roll.
Ooh, I'll do explorer for sure.
I'll do scan only because he's doing explore, but I'm horrible at it.
Gandalf.
Yes.
Oh, your rolls are hidden to me, Frost.
What?
Good. It means we get to narrate what happens.
Okay.
Powerful.
What, Master? Luvatar isn't working?
Yeah, my Eluvatar.
I deleted it. Oh, okay. I was trying to reveal it to everyone.
So funny.
Why is it set to self? Okay, here. Let's. I'm not good at it anyway. So
Was it a success or? Here.
It was not a success. I was just gonna roll again until because I think it was like an 11 or something. I'm like, it wasn't very high, but there you go. You have something on screen now.
Okay, very good, very good.
It was not a success.
Okay, so as you both kind of look around, you make your way around this hamlet, and you see that there are a number of, obviously the burnt out kind of ramshackle huts that have been not hastily constructed, or you wouldn't imagine they'd been hastily constructed, but definitely not refined in the way that you would expect a normal dwarven home to be. As you're perusing around, you do come across a number of cellars which houses had been built over, all rummaged through and any valuables taken. However, you do see what looks to be a far nicer, or what would have been a nicer home. A little bit larger. You can see that there are kind of wisps of a purple fabric, a much finer fabric that wave in the wind, kind of stuck to the smoldering wood planks, almost as if there was a fine tapestry hanging up against a wall. And this, you would surmise, would probably be Flonar's house. As you look around, you can see that there are a number of books, maybe journals, documents, things like that, just kind of scattered around. As you kind of look through them, you can see that some of them detail, it's just general record keeping, different trade goods brought in, things like that, kind of stocks of stores of food and other crafting materials such as steel and wood. However, you do, Miragar, as you kind of peruse through, you do come across what looks to be Flonar's personal journal. And in that personal journal, do you want to take a good little while to kind of look over it and read it?
Yeah, definitely. I'll grab Thrush's attention too. That way, if there's any Elven or anything like that I can't read.
Just keep an eye out while he's reading for the most part, unless he needs something, just in case there's stragglers or someone else around.
Okay. So as you kind of peruse around, or you scan through this book, you do notice that a good majority of it is written in the common tongue. Enough for you at least to make out a majority of the themes of what he was writing. And coming to some of the more recent entries, it discusses his meeting with a dwarf named Jari and how he told him of a key to a secret watch post entry into Moria, and how it was found in the record halls of the Blue Mountains. It talks about their journey there. It talks about meeting up with Daor and how he possessed some sort of a fell presence about him, but even still was able to garner goodwill from them. And further in, it talks about how Moria was basically, even this hidden entry was just infested with orcs. It talks about how on their way back, he was able to save as much as he possibly could, but it does specifically mention a key which he had fastened around a mithril chain that dangles from his neck. The very same key that was given, or that was obtained from the halls of records in the dwarves' Blue Mountain halls.
The chain is worth quite a deal.
And this is
quite a deal of money.
This is on Flonar, right? Flonar is saying that he has this key with the chain.
Correct.
Okay.
And up until then, it seems as though all was fair. The last entry that you read talks about a fine autumn day. And it talks about him potentially making a journey down to the lake to attempt to gather some fish. So on that, you would guess that the attack here was probably somewhat unexpected.
And then, with my knowledge, is any of this dated or anything like that, or is it just kind of roughly, and kind of?
You can guess rough dates. It goes more by month. It doesn't necessarily give you exact days, but month and season. And
then remind me, did we find Flonar's body?
Yes, Flonar's body is the one that was on the statue.
That's the one that's
yeah.
And we found the chain, but not what was attached to the chain.
Mm-hmm.
Not the key.
So,
and you remember that he had told you that they had lost the key back in Moria.
But no, I will sit and discuss this with Thrush for a little bit as we've scanned through. And obviously I'll keep the journal, Flonar's journal. just because this is following, the trail that we're already on. And yeah, I guess keep searching for a bit till Larry and Aranel come back, and we can kind of put together all that we found.
So they lost the key in Moria, and they returned here with whatever they had and whatever had been taken out. These creatures came for them for no other reason than to wipe them out, or did they?
I think the orcs we fought. I think the orcs that we fought outside of Moria or the mountains.
The group we fled from, correct?
We're hunting Flonar and Daor, Jari. I don't think this group. I don't think this group is following that order.
No, they're not the same group. They're from the Equinors, but why would they have come after them? What brought their ire? Is there something fell on the wind that told them to come here? That's what I don't understand.
Well, I mean, look around. They won. So this town made enough noise for the goblins and orcs, and they just, they may have, maybe something pushed them this way, but I don't know. It's hard to say that these two things are related at the moment.
I just feel there's something else going on, but it sounded, well, they'll probably let us know what they find, but there were signs that others were dragged away, so perhaps they'll have discovered something.
And maybe they are related. I guess a messenger could be faster than we've been. I don't want to say lollygagged our way this way, but we definitely didn't get here in as much haste as maybe we should have.
They can move very, very, very quickly, and their messengers are not always land-bound. He just looks up out the window at all the little dark shapes in the sky.
Well, I guess we maybe start gathering bodies to at least bury some of these folks properly. Right. And I think we wait for our compatriots to come back.
All right. Well, Larry, do you want to try to follow these tracks? Or...
Perhaps we should get the others before we attempt anything.
Fair enough. It also seems like there's a body over there.
Yes, well, the firework is loud. The less distance they have to run to catch up to us, the better.
Fair enough. Shall we?
Yes.
So you guys are going to get everybody together and then potentially follow the tracks?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So easily enough, you gather everybody together, and Thrush and Miragar, do you follow them?
Nah, we say screw them.
Yeah.
And let them know,
people alive over there.
As you follow the tracks, you can realize that most of these are dwarves. You can see that you can kind of follow each track individually, and it seems as though they kind of spread out in a fan fashion, running every which way. But you followed just a couple of them, making your way around where you saw the carrion birds flying up, and you can see that these are corpses of dwarves, many of them with arrows in their backs. So from what you can tell,
running and got shot in the back.
More than likely what survivors may have fled the battle were succinctly
slaughtered. Okay.
Slain with arrows in the back.
Have we seen Jari in the midst of all of these corpses?
You have not.
Well, perhaps he was slippery enough to get away.
Yes. So every track we see, do they just all end here? Like, there's no sign that anyone made it past this group?
Right.
Okay. I don't think we found Jari yet. I mean, we could search every individual corpse, but Aranel said he may have escaped.
Where'd he go?
Or was taken.
Or was taken, yes. Did Flonar's journal make any mention of Jari not opting to return with him to the Vale?
No, everything that I gleaned from the journal is pretty much everything we found out along the way or knew of. There didn't seem to be any new pertinent information. And even the last entry feels like it's a couple days ago because it's very much just a day in the life of. Doesn't mention any suspicion or anything like that. I mean, it does.
The attack was coming. They had no idea.
Yeah, the missing key, I think, is the only worrisome part of this.
Yes, I believe they'd mentioned to us that they'd lost it, but apparently that was not entirely true.
Well, yeah, well, I guess maybe that's why Deor turned back to go find the key.
Well, if they lost it in Moria, then it's in Moria with all of these hordes that are there.
Which is probably a safe place for it, to be honest with you.
Yes, as much as I'd like to return their dwarves' key to them, I don't know that we should necessarily risk our lives for a backdoor to Moria.
Yeah, that is well guarded by orcs.
Besides, we would have to have a key to get in to retrieve the key.
Well, if they got in, I'm assuming the door is probably unlocked.
Unless they shut it. The others shut it.
Yeah.
I don't know. We could guess all day, but we can't do anything for the people here besides bury them. And we have to make sure that the forces aren't moving down towards your people.
Yes, I think we at least... I don't know that we can fight this group of orcs, but we should probably try to trail them to see what their intentions are.
Do we get an idea of like a lot of dwarves died, but did a lot of orcs and goblins die as well?
From your estimation, there are at least as many dead orcs around as there are dwarves. So it seems as though the dwarves did put up a good fight, and orcs are not necessarily known for their martial prowess, but perhaps the horde was too large for them to handle.
Okay. Well, especially if they weren't expecting it, and they were caught unawares. Yeah, and lots of archers. Oof. All right. Well, where does this leave us? We've got injuries. What is our next step?
I'm not sure. Our goal was to deliver this letter to Flonar, which, well, that's not going to happen now.
We know where their relatives lie in the Blue Hills.
Yes, I mean, we could go try to find the brother over there. Let him know what's happened. Or we can go see what happened with these orcs to see if they're going to threaten anyone else.
I'm more concerned with the orcs than delivering the letter currently, but...
I don't disagree.
I don't love the idea of coming close to another orc horde, but if we can prevent or get ahead of them if they're heading towards another town or something, I think that might be our best plan of action.
Yes, and perhaps most importantly of all, it will let us know whether they were just a roaming horde that happened upon the dwarves, or if they actually came here with a specific purpose. If they're just roaming around, then, well, they're just a warband doing whatever they want, but it seems like they've turned around, and maybe they did have some purpose.
Did they head back towards Fornost or down towards Anuminus? Do we know?
We'll have to see if we can find the trail of the army. I was focused on looking for the dwarves, honestly.
Yes, because these dwarves that were running away, they were just running away like not like a specific direction, like we're going to the Blue Hills or whatever. They just were running away from the battle, and
Yeah, they just kind of scattered in what direction downhill was closest.
okay, all right. Yeah, if you can find out where this army or this group may have headed after this, I don't know if you'll be able to tell or not.
I can give it my best shot.
So with that hunting roll that you had made earlier,
Yeah.
I would say that you can very easily tell that the army or the warband which had struck the Vale of Gold came from and then departed back due east.
All right.
So in the direction of Fornost, and then across the lowlands, probably back into the Atmores.
Perhaps we should head towards Fornast and see if there's anything there.
Your intention then is to trail the orc band?
Attempt to, yes.
Yeah, just see if we're not going to be able to necessarily stop them, but at least if we see that they're heading south, we might be able to cut and head, because I doubt they're going to attack something as large as Bree or go into the Chetwood or something, but if we know where they're at, then we can at least avoid them and be a little safer.
Okay, very good. So, this is going to be a skill endeavor.
Hooray!
Don't you love those? Let's
Sometimes.
I'll use cooking. Wait,
Cooking level? Nice.
This skill endeavor is mainly to maintain the trail of these
Okay.
orcs. Do you intend to set out immediately? Or are you planning on burying some of the dwarves, spending a day trying to work and give them a kind of a respectful grave?
Probably would try to gather some of the bodies at least. Maybe not be able to dig a mass grave or anything, but at least try to put them in a more respectable position.
yeah, Thrush is a little uncomfortable taking the time to do that because he really wants to follow them, but it seems right, given that they're dwarves, to not leave them under the sky.
Yeah.
Okay. And so you spend the rest of the day digging a number of graves and burying as many as you possibly can before you
Gathering trinkets.
pass out from exhaustion. You gather trinkets and put them together in a cache for potentially family members or other tribesmen to come and reclaim for their families. And then I suppose, do you spend the night here as well?
I don't know that we're going to travel by night.
Yeah, we should probably take up his
Yeah.
house, because it was the nicest place to be in, and well, the least burned and damaged, hopefully.
Yeah.
All right. So you spend the night in Flonar's home, and it is comfortable enough. There is enough of it left to keep the little bits of rain which pass through the area off of your heads as you sleep. But you wake up the next morning and there is a dense fog which rolls over the hills of Evendim.
Does it count as a prolonged rest or no?
Yes, it does.
Cool, I'm gonna take some.
Okay, and then
So I'm not miserable anymore.
I'm going to
Larry,
take 3. Yeah, I need
Larry,
to make my roll for poison.
yes, please.
Also, we'll take a day off from wound.
I'm
Alrighty.
gonna take 3 as well, if that's okay.
Go for it.
Okay.
And then in the morning, do you want me to roll healing for Larry to avoid the damages of poison? Or do we want to do his roll first to see if he gets his Gandalf rune, and then I'll roll mine?
Yeah, so I'm going to have him go ahead and make his roll for yesterday, and then you can roll your healing
Okay, cool.
and see what's going on.
Oh, it's there.
It is, but
So
no
close.
such luck.
Alright,
Okay.
so do that. I'll spend a hope point, but I do have to take one off because it's an orc poison, right?
Correct.
Okay, that's fine though. Still have a lot.
Okay, 19. So the effects of the poison have been alleviated for today.
I feel like in the morning when you wake up, Miragar shoves like a gross tasting herbal concoction in your face. And then when he goes to redress the wounds, he, is basically pouring like alcohol on it, And it's like, all right, we'll get rid of this stupid poison.
Just burn it out. That's how poison works, right?
I understand.
Fire with fire, right?
Your methodology is make it taste so horrible he'll never want to get poisoned again.
Checks out.
Miragar knows what he's doing, as much as I do not enjoy the taste.
All right.
Well,
So,
stop getting hit by arrows, would you?
all right. So, Mr. Guide, I would take a travel roll, if you please.
All right. Do I have to take anything off for the fog, or are we good?
Nope, you're good.
I'm going to add the one for my maps and charts and all that.
Mm-hmm.
Looks pretty good.
Nice.
It's pretty good.
Nice. Okay. So that is 4 total days you are able to travel. However, in the interim, you do need to make sure that you are able to keep up, and you can, or to maintain the trail, and you can tell that as you make your way through the Hills of Evendim, the trail is easy enough for you to maintain. You make your way for about a day, and I will need a hunting roll to try and maintain this trail here.
How many days of travel was that?
So far, we're just going day by day,
Gotcha.
but without incident, you can expect 4.
Gotcha. Okay.
As we go through each day, I'm just taking 1 day off the wound.
Yeah, that's what
So I'm down to 3.
Yeah.
So as you travel along, it's very hard to get your bearings, especially in this fog. At some points, the grass tends to almost overtake the tracks which were left by this warband. But you do have 2 attempts per day.
Okay. And is this only going to be hunting, or is it going to be different skills each day?
It will only be hunting.
Does it have to be Larry, or can it be anybody else?
It can be anybody.
Yeah.
Okay.
I've got 3 pips in it, not favored, so if anyone has better.
I'm the exact same.
I have 2.
All right.
But my target number is 14. What's yours? 16?
Yeah.
And you can also aid each other in it as well if you'd like.
Aranel will give it a go.
There we go.
There we go.
All right, very good. So that's 2 successes.
I made up for Larry's failure.
The poison, it doesn't help the situation at all.
All right, so you make your way through. You've got 2 successes on your endeavor, and as you kind of make your way through the Hills of Evendim, it is very taxing as you're going up one hill and down another, and then up another, and then down, and then between these hills and crossing over streams. But luckily enough, you are able to maintain your course for the day. Larry, I will have you give me another poison roll.
Yes!
Hey, look at that!
There's the Gandalf.
Finally!
And
As going up and down hills.
as you bed down for the evening, Larry, your body feels purified, almost as if whatever tonic that Miragar gave you this morning had almost completely alleviated whatever poison was left coursing through your veins.
I'd like to think I also just sweat out the poison from how difficult this terrain was.
Yes.
It's all gone.
It's a perfect combination.
Or he sees Miragar walking up with the second growth tonic of the day, and he's like, no, you know what, I'm fine. It's fine.
Miragar's opens the wound, is looking at it, pulls a magnifying glass we didn't even know he had out of nowhere, is examining it.
Miragar specifically made it a little bit more disgusting because he gained shadow because you got wounded.
And the best part is, he's not actually unpoisoned. He's just telling everybody it so he doesn't have to drink anymore. He's like, feel great.
All right, and so you go to sleep and you wake up the next morning, and the fog persists. In order to maintain this trail, I am going to have to ask for yet another hunting roll.
Right.
You want me to do it?
I'll do you do it, and I will spend a hope point to help you.
Okay, perfect.
Okay, very good.
Great
So-
success.
2 more successes. Very good. And easily enough, as you maintain your course, you come across the northern tip of the Lake of Evendim. You've successfully exited the hills and made your way. And along the way, go ahead and give me an awareness roll as you kind of come along what was once a well-used road. You can see little cobblestones poking up through the grass.
31.
Nice.
God.
Does anybody else even need to make a roll?
Yeah, I think
No.
Aranel has enough awareness for all of us combined.
Yeah, you might be right.
We might be hindering if we roll.
Kind of.
I just helped her hunt. I probably just like cleared off some fog or something, just brushed it out of the way so she could see, and that's about it.
Right. Okay. So, let me see here. So, as you're walking along, you spy a few dark shapes rising up off the ground, fluttering off into the distance.
I wonder what they were looking at.
Did they look like just normal carrion birds or something else?
Someone or something may have fallen there.
Possibly. Shall we
Well,
take a look?
I think it's on the path we're going anyway, so no harm.
Alright.
Although perhaps we should be discreet about it.
Perhaps.
Okay. Are you wanting to roll stealth checks?
I would like to.
Okay.
Can try.
Are we all rolling them?
If you'd like to.
Ooh.
Well,
Wow.
I-
alright.
Damn.
good news, I have a die I can give away.
Okay.
I got within 1 point of success.
Okay. So, let's see. Is everybody going to check it out? I assume?
Might as well.
Yeah. Okay. So, 3 of you are able to kind of hunker down and trudge forward and sneak forward. One of your party, I'm not going to point fingers, abnormally loud as the footsteps almost seem to echo across the surface of the water.
It's the curse of the white stag.
And
Yeah, the curse of White Stag.
And as you trudge forward, you can see getting closer, you can smell a foul stench. You get even closer and you can see that this is the corpse of yet another dwarf, probably what you would guess to be a prisoner,
Alright.
dumped in a ditch just to the side of the road. You can see clearly that this dwarf has had his throat slit and his right hand has been hacked off. I'm going to need all of you to make me a shadow test for valor.
Oh god.
Well, we've only got 2 fellowship points if anyone wants them for the roll.
I would like one because mine is awful.
Okay.
My target number is 16, or no, not 16, 18. I've got
Okay. Yeah.
like 3 dice.
I'm sorry. Was this
Oh Jesus.
was this Valor?
Yep,
Yes.
I still
Alright.
failed.
Screw it. I will take the other point.
Oh, cool. Great.
Fucking.
I got an Sauron.
Ugh.
I'm glad I took that point.
So, the eye awareness does increase. And Miragar, you do take 1 point of shadow as the sight of this poor soul just dumped in a ditch and left to rot has sunk into your core.
Aranel does too. 'Cause she failed.
Miserable.
Uh-oh.
All right.
Yep,
I'm at
I
6
am
freaking shadow
miserable.
points.
Let's see how. I'm just gonna put this up for everybody to see. Okay.
Sounds like Miragar and Aranel just need to like go yell in a ditch or something. And get some
Oh, she's
stuff.
getting real close.
Yeah, you guys are not looking too good. Except Larry. Larry's nothing
Well,
hurts him.
Because
Well,
he
it's
just
good-
freaking took a scar.
well, yeah, I have a scar, but yeah, Miragar and I, for the most part, don't get that much. Well, Miragar has been getting a lot, but I think that's throughout the entire adventure, though, so he hasn't taken a scar yet, so.
Yeah,
Probably-
that's just my hope is so high normally.
Yeah, so actually, 8 shadow for the entire journey is probably pretty good.
All right. And so, I would have you, as you kind of shy away from this, or do you plan on doing anything with the body?
I mean, I'm just gonna try to look at him, like, is this Jari? No. Okay.
Yeah, it's definitely not Jari. This is somebody who you have not met before.
Okay. It would probably be safe to assume that the orcs stole any possession of worth off of him anyway, so maybe just quickly bury him if possible and move on.
I don't think we can do much more.
Yeah.
Okay. So, I would have, as you move on from this, I would have you give me yet another hunting roll to maintain the trail.
All right. Maybe we'll let Aranel do it. Oh,
God dang it.
maybe we shouldn't have let Aranel do it.
Maybe not.
That is
Oh well.
failure.
He's all out of sorts after seeing that.
There it is. All right, and the shadows, or not the shadow, the Eye of Sauron makes its appearance once again.
Yep.
Okay. And so you trudge forward, thinking that you have got the right trail. You're fairly certain that you've followed the correct trail, but you notice that every once in a while, individual tracks lead off into the distance and then circle back into the main host. So you lose a little bit of time following wayward trails. But you bed down for the second day. No poison or anything to contend with. However, is there anything you'd like to do at the end of the second day?
Can I take a shadow scar at this point?
Absolutely, yeah.
Okay. So I'm not miserable anymore.
What
How
does
does
that look like for our little hobbit?
Yeah, how does that manifest?
So I feel like after we've seen this other dwarf, and maybe the morning, maybe the rest of the day, he just seems to be a little bit slower. His eyes seemed a little bit darker. It seems to, there's not actually a scar or something like that, but he definitely looks like he has seen something. Like his face has changed. Instead of always smiling, it's maybe not as, profound and merry. And when you ask him things, instead of, maybe babbling on about something for a moment, it's a quick answer. I would say it's more of a mental thing that happens with him, just the weight of everything he's seen in the horrors. But it does show in his face. That you wake up the next morning, he might look more aged, his eyes sunken in a little bit more, and then his demeanor itself feels colder.
I feel like Larry would probably very much notice, but he probably won't force the issue right now.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just gonna turn to Miragar and just kind of nod, like, it's been a long journey. 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 It's been a long and leave it at that.
It has. It has.
And you bed down once again and wake up the next morning. You can see that just as you wake up, heavy, dark clouds roll in overhead. You can see the rain curtain, or what looks to be a rain curtain, coming in from the north. And as it does, it brings with it a torrent of sleet and icy rain that impedes your progress. The ground freezes as the rain hits it, turning blades of grass which were once blowing in the wind into tiny knives, which almost seem to cut through your boots as you travel. But you continue making your way. On the third day,
I will take this one.
this is going to cause the hailstorm which you are currently going through seems to last almost all day.
All right.
And as a result, it has slowed your progress, making it to where you can make one hunting roll today.
Okay. I will put a hope on it, and if Miragar, now that you have a scar, if you want to give me support.
Yeah, I will spend a hope to help you out.
There we go.
There we
Definitely
go.
worth it. Yep, that last die.
All right, 2 successes. Very good. All right, so you travel forth, and it seems as though a host of this size is slow moving, as it seems you very well may have just caught up with the host itself. What takes you a day to travel probably takes them 2 days. And as such, you come through what looks to be, you come through a tree line, and you can see a number of tents at the end of the day. A number of tents, columns of smoke billowing up towards the sky as bonfires light this camp. You can see dozens of tents lining around the edge of this tree line and kind of extending out into kind of an open area. And you can hear the jeers and taunts and loud yells of orcs as it seems as though they get into fights betwixt each other. Some of them are drinking grog and laughing uncontrollably. You see there's a couple of tents. There's some orcs which are currently grinding orcish swords, and dark sparks fly off of these swords as they're sharpened.
Can we see any signs of prisoners?
Give me a scan roll, if you would.
Okay.
$18? Okay. Very good. As you look around, you can see, first and foremost, your eyes scan around, and you would guess that there is an estimated maybe 100 orcs here.
Okay.
Miragar can take him.
You can't. You can see that it seems as though, even though the sunlight is waning and shadows are being cast on the camp, they have posted lookouts to spy for any oncoming intruders. However, on the far side of the camp, you do see a number of what look to be cages and iron spikes which are stuck into the ground. And from there, you can see a number of dwarves, both stuck inside some cages and some manacled to these iron spikes which have been driven into the ground.
Well, looks like our suspicions were correct.
You see prisoners. Oh, that complicates things.
Indeed. They have lookouts.
Were you able to spy anything that looks like supplies that we could say sabotage, perhaps set fire and cause a distraction?
Yeah, at this point, you could spy a few barrels of grog or a few stores of food, maybe. What you would guess to be maybe rough pallets full of different rations, but no red barrels or anything.
Is it grog flammable?
Nothing to
No
shoot my
flames.
fireworks at?
Larry will attempt a scan roll to see if maybe he can find something a little more specific. It's probably not going to go well, but hey. Nope.
Yeah.
Nope,
Yeah.
I cannot see.
This is why you leave it to the elf.
At this point, the area is filled with the smoke of these large fires. You can see dozens of shapes milling about on the premises of this camp, just wandering about almost aimlessly. Like I said, some getting into fights, and it's tough to make heads or tails of what's going on.
Thrush has just been staring at the camp, watching, looking at their layout. In his mind, just trying to figure out if, say, there is a leader down there, and if there's any kind of a weakness, like we were trying to think if there's a way we could sabotage them, if there's a way we could actually try and lead them away from the prisoners to give us a chance to free them. So he was interested, maybe trying to use his battle skill to kind of formulate something like that.
Okay, yeah, absolutely.
We'll see how poorly it goes, but... Oh, it was a Gandalf rune. No,
It was the Gandalf rune? Okay.
Yeah, it was, but then it fell to a 7.
Well, it was still a success.
Okay, sounds good. And as you kind of sit there and formulate your plan, while everyone else is peering out over the camp, that, I think, is a good place to take a quick break, and we'll be right back. Greetings, tavern goers, and thank you all for watching this Tales from the Dragon's Tavern production. We wanted to take a few seconds to let you know that we have just launched our first paid tier for our Patreon page. If you like battle maps, regional maps, or anything in between, you can take part in our first tier as a tavern regular. For only $2 a month, you can take advantage of all of the maps made on stream during Saturday morning map making. Fear not, young tavern goer. The free tier is still available, and every episode will be posted there for your enjoyment as well. We here at the tavern appreciate your patronage, no matter what your tab is. Thank you once again. Now let's get back to our show. And we are back as the company is currently formulating a plan and how they would like to attempt to distract this band of orcs. And Thrush had rolled a successful battle roll, which gave him a little bit of insight into potential tactics which might help him out in drawing out at least some of the host which inhabits this camp. And so what we're going to do now is a skill endeavor, and your success in that battle roll has brought it from a daunting task to a simply laborious task. So in game terms, what that means is instead of requiring 9 successful rolls in the allotted time, it requires 6.
Okay.
Well, damn.
That's
that does sound better.
So, in this endeavor can include everything from, actually formulating the plan to actually executing it.
All right.
So, with that, I'm going to go ahead and create the skill endeavor. And there we go. So, what is your all's plan?
Well, the idea was that if the prisoners are all in one spot, and the main camp is here, we're going to try and create something to maybe draw them off, since they seem listless and kind of bored and looking for a fight or looking for something since they're fighting one another. Giving them something to focus on away from the prisoners, down the hill, in the woods, whatever we can. If it's a firework, if it's an actual fire, if it's clanging on pans, while those of us who are good at being sneaky might have a chance of getting closer to the dwarves.
Well, Larry might be able to use crafting to combine some things to maybe make like a time-delayed firework, and that can be our distraction. Just plant it in the right spot. Maybe try to extend the fuse in some way.
And if we have things in more than one spot, so possibly they go in 2 directions away from the camp and not just there.
Yeah.
Anything to get their attention and or, bright lights they don't like. So it might dazzle them. It might distract them.
Oh, so you need me to do the magical success where the clouds part again. Got it.
Ta-da!
I don't think that's gonna possibly let that happen. Unless
Well,
the circlet,
it's nighttime.
unless the circlet I found allows me to somehow create a sun out of nowhere. Ugh. So yeah, I mean that's what I can do initially is crafting roll, maybe with some support to hopefully get some extra success die on it.
Okay. Yeah, go ahead and give me a craft roll.
And will anyone be providing any support?
Okay.
Yeah,
I'll allow
definitely.
that.
Yeah.
All right. So I will spend a hope and add a die and hope for the best. Oh my God, no!
Oh no.
That was just terrible.
That is a lot of ones.
That is a thrush amount of ones there.
Exactly. That's me. What did you roll my dice?
I might have, We'll just say that was your roll, and I get to try again later.
And so we can say that as you're sneaking around in this behind the tree line, just outside of this orc camp, perhaps you try to maybe get some dried sticks or something that you might be able to allow to burn a little bit before it reaches the fuse in order to light the fuse. And as you're trying to kind of set this whole thing up, you realize that thanks to the recent hailstorm and sleet, none of this wood is particularly good for burning.
Well, guess we're just gonna have to go with regular old fireworks and hope for the best. And if that's the case, then Larry would probably be like, okay, well now I have to be sneaky.
Let me check something real quick. Bear with me for 1 minute.
No problem.
So the other thing that Thrush was going to do for his second point of
Yeah.
the attack is while you're doing that, he was going to be moving off in the separate direction, on some high ground and trying to basically just not
Awe
reveal
them.
himself, but awe them by yelling out in, shining, and flashing his sword on the hill and screaming something out in.
You're gonna be Obi-Wan from A New Hope with the Tusken Raiders.
Well, and try to get them to look and be like, what? There's an elf or something up there.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
So you want
It
to?
may draw all of them at him, but he could run.
Okay. Yeah, absolutely. If you would like, go ahead and give me an awe roll.
Okay. Now, if he used the whole point to make it a magical success, it would succeed.
Mhm.
But it wouldn't get any extra successes, right?
Unless you roll it. Unless you
I
roll
roll
That depends on the.
Okay, so he is going to use the hope point. I will just. I got one.
Nice.
Great success. Okay. You got one additional die. Very good. So you go towards the nearest hilltop, and you draw my sword and hold it aloft, and a gleam passes from the moon and reflects brightly off your sword as you scream at the top of your lungs, and the rest of you can hear. It's the dwarves! They found us! Get after him!
Wait a second, that guy's taller than a dwarf.
And you guys can see, as he does this, you can see that a contingent of orcs has begun making its way towards Thrush's direction.
Alright, and I will take this opportunity to stealth because I am favored with 5 die.
Okay?
And I will spend hope on it.
Okay. You get an additional success. Or you know.
Unfortunately,
yeah,
no
no additional
despite all
successes.
those.
But All right. So, you hunker down and begin making your way into this camp. As you do, you dodge between a couple of tents. You can see that there are still orcs wandering around as a contingent of them have made off to make after Thrush. And at this point, you come to a point where you are almost halted as there is just a wall of orcs ahead of you.
Unless somebody can get a magical success on it, a couple of successes, we're in trouble.
We need a success.
We're in a tight spot.
We need a success with 2 die here.
I can, I guess would another stealth roll be possible, or
If you
Or we
wanted
have to do
to, so
something
basically, yeah, you could try to make another stealth roll, and maybe try to take a different route.
So she'd be trying to get to the dwarves while all this is happening, basically?
Yeah.
That sort of an idea?
Mm-hmm.
Alright, I'm gonna use my last hope before I'm miserable to magical success this and
Okay.
Hope beyond hope.
pray to Gandalf that this works. I got
Okay.
1, but
We needed we needed 3, unfortunately.
That'll bring us to
5. Yeah.
5 out of 6. Okay.
5 out of 6, and at this point, you can see there's a contingent of of orcs. Miragar, you peer out and you can see that it looks like there's probably about 10 or 12, which are currently heading towards Thrush's direction. Larry and Aranel, at this point, making your way through the camp, it seems as though there are still just too many for you to safely make your way through, as silent as you are. So Thrush, you've got a dozen orcs making their way towards you, jeering at you.
I was gonna say Miragar will head towards Thrush to assist.
yeah, I think
Have to
realizing
regroup
we can't
and fall back, because I think that it's just there's too many of them. We're going to have to flee and regroup.
yeah.
Okay, all right. So I would have both of, in order to outrun these orcs, I would have both Thrush and Miragar make me an athletics roll, if you would.
First roll just completely screwed us, man. That was so bad.
There's all the 6s.
Yeah.
Now we get
Very
them.
nice. Okay.
Well, terror, it adds, spring to our step.
See this look? It's terror.
It's true.
You both sprint back away from these orcs as they chase you. And it seems as though you may have escaped them after running for what seems to have been probably an hour, but you look back and it doesn't seem that you've gone too terribly far. But you kind of make your way back into the tree line and dodge between a couple of trees and maybe hide behind some brush, as it seems as though you've broken line of sight and these orcs make their way past you. And Aranel and Larry, at this point, you can see that the contingent has made its way out of camp and is no longer in sight. However, you also do not see Miragar and Thrush.
Or an opening to help these people. So we'd probably just sneak our way back out, realizing the jig is up, and just hope we don't get seen.
Yep.
So
Okay.
what would you need from us? More stealth?
Let's see. Did you get any additional? Okay.
We both got it.
So-
Or no, I didn't. She did.
Okay. So Aranel, I would say that you could probably sneak out no problem. Larry, however, as you're kind of sneaking around, you can see that the light kind of dims in your vicinity. The torches don't seem to be giving off nearly as much light, but it doesn't seem as though you have a direct way out, as a couple orcs have begun making their way behind you from where you came. So I will need another stealth roll from you.
All right.
Use your ring.
Oh, it's already applied.
Oh.
All right, easy enough.
Okay.
Yeah, you
Despite
kind of.
all those ones.
All right, you kind of duck underneath and into a tent, and inside this tent, you can see it's just these nappy bedrolls, which seem to be nothing but rags. You can smell the stench of orc that has been using this bedroll. An empty water skin that seems to have been tipped over and is currently leaking this kind of yellowish fluid, thick, almost like the same consistency as blood, but yellow.
Gross.
And you make your way back out the other side of the tent, going under, and you have made your way out of the camp and are now back into the tree line.
All right. I imagine Aranel and I probably encounter one another at some point. We're like, I don't know where Thrush and Miragar ran off to. I think they're safe though. I don't hear any fighting.
True. Plus, Miragar does have the fireworks, so if
Yes.
they were in trouble, we'd be able to find them.
Well, the hill was about over there. I guess we just go around the camp in that direction and hope we find them.
Agreed.
Okay. And at this point, I would have you give me a quick hunting roll. Given that it is now dark outside, I would have that lose a success die.
Okay. I'll go for it. I can still spare some hope.
Okay.
God.
Ah,
All right, you wander about, and it seems as though these tracks are muddled together. It doesn't seem as though you can't seem to make any sense of them.
That's just too much here.
can I argue for an awareness roll to see if I can maybe hear where the orcs went, like what direction that contingent had gone?
Yeah.
Okay.
Nice.
Okay.
Okay. So kind of drowning out the sound of the camp nearby, you kind of focus in the opposite direction. And you can hear, it seems as though the orc contingent has moved east, as you can hear them kind of yelling. You hear one of them shouting orders at the other ones. And you can almost hear their footfalls on the grass as it snaps with the ice being frozen over.
Okay.
And it seems as though they've probably headed back east from whence you came.
Do we want to maybe head a little bit north of that track and see if
Yes.
we can find our friends?
Yes, that sounds prudent.
Okay.
Okay.
And Thrush and Miragar, what are you doing?
Playing
guess
cards in a hole
around-
somewhere.
Like like on the rise above where we were started making our plan or talking about it, we're just circling all the way back around, I think, and trying to find that spot. If we don't see them, then retrace our spots a little bit because it
Oh, God.
would have gone
Yep.
Okay. At this point, yeah, you would guess that you are safe from the orcs which are currently hunting you. Go ahead and let's see. Give me a probably a scan roll to see if you can maybe spot those two looking for you.
Gandalf.
I don't see anything.
Yeah, easily enough. You make your way back down from where this whole thing started, and you can see just off to the north. It looks like Aranel and Larry are scanning about, looking for any trace of where you all went. Not too far away, maybe a couple hundred feet.
I'll signal to Thrush. I see, and point out Larry and Aranel to him.
I'm half expecting you guys to just walk up to me and be like, "Sup?"
He's just going to let out a little bird whistle.
All right. We probably know by this point that's your thing.
Yep.
And we
Definitely not a night bird.
Yeah. Well, that could have gone better.
Yes, I think we need to maybe follow them another day. Try to regroup and.
Yes.
Perhaps
Well, it
part
could
of
have
the
gone.
group
It could have gone much worse, though.
Oh yeah, well, part of the group may head off. We don't know. I guess I'm not sure if we're going to be able to save these unfortunate dwarves.
They might be on high alert now that they've noticed they're being followed by something.
Huh? To be fair, they didn't really spawn us, but yes. I say we maybe follow another day, see how things look, and if we can't do anything, then we just have to move on, unfortunately.
Which is not something that makes Thrush very happy.
Oh, no, definitely not.
You know,
None of us are happy about that, for sure. But we'll see what tomorrow brings.
Okay. And as the night wanes on, you notice that probably half an hour later, that orc contingent comes trotting back towards the camp, grumbling to themselves that they were not able to find their quarry. Those dwarves are sneaky blighters. And they make their way back into the camp. And at that point, you notice that they begin to pack up, as it seems as though they probably travel more often during the night.
All right.
and that gives Thrush the thought that if we can catch them again in the daytime, we may have the advantage. Though we'll still be on high alert. But
I agree.
They also don't like daytime, so.
So they begin to pack up, and if you intend to follow them, you will not get a long rest tonight if you intend to follow them tonight.
I think that's fine, seeing as how we have no hope to recover and we're all at full endurance.
Okay. But if you intend to follow them through the night, this will be considered a forced march.
Okay.
And what
I'm
that
drinking
means
my
is
travel
that...
draw.
I was about to say, yeah, I'll probably drink a travel drought as well.
Okay. Miragar and Thrush, do you do the same?
I'm looking to remember what
so,
it
yeah.
does. One less fatigue in the next journey event? Sure.
Okay. All right. So, you see that when the moon is at its highest, or at least what slivers of it you can pick out from between the clouds, you can see that they begin moving on. What are you all doing with your horses, by the way?
Using them, but staying back far enough they're not noticed.
Okay.
I mean, I'm not worried about my pony because it's special, but the old horse we gotta be worried about.
I mean, you can still ride them, I suppose, pull back.
Yeah.
All right. And how far back behind this host would you be hanging, would you say?
Well, you said that we can catch up. We basically do in one day what that takes them 2 days, so we can probably stay back fairly far without losing track or falling behind.
Okay. So you'll probably be out of sight, is more or less what it is.
Yeah.
Okay. Sounds good. So, now begins your, technically what would be the 4th day.
Alright.
And as you travel along, this area is almost pitch dark. And you can see just through the slivers of moonlight that peek through the clouds, you can see that it looks as though this band has begun moving through some very treacherous territory, making their way through very craggy terrain with sharp rocks and steep inclines. And thus begins our first journey event on the 4th day, and as you're kind of tracking this band, you feel as though you might be able to find perhaps a much less treacherous way around this area and still be able to maintain the trail. However, that is going to require an explore roll from Miragar.
Got this, little buddy.
And Miragar, are you on foot or are you on your horse?
He doesn't have a horse.
No, I'm on foot.
You're on foot? Okay.
Oh,
Very
it's
good.
favorite. It's favorite. Okay. We're
Yep.
okay.
Yeah. The eye
Very
means
good.
nothing.
I
Very
got
good.
scared for a second. I'm like, oh wait, no, we're fine.
Okay, so that was a terrible misfortune. Now, luckily, yeah, that was almost as bad as you can get. Or no, that was as bad as you can get.
I think
But-
the last time we had one of those, it was also Miragar.
It was. Yeah, but
Great.
luckily, Miragar, you're able to navigate your way around this treacherous terrain and find a much safer path along these crags. You can see these sharp rocks which jut out above you as you make your way down beneath them. So you take no damage, you take no wounds. However, this leg of your travel is very fatiguing. You all take 3 points of fatigue, and those of you who did not take any Mirvor will take 4.
Ouch.
I thought 3 was before. Ooh.
God dang it.
I accidentally put 56 fatigue as opposed to 5.
Jesus.
That would have been bad.
You would have been a little tired.
There we go.
Alright. And so, at this point, you see pink in the sky toward the east as the sun begins to come up and the camp begins to set up again. The orcs stop in what looks to be kind of as enclosed of an area as they can find, but even still, it seems to be quite out in the open as you all journey into the Lone Lands.
You think our chances are? It feels like everyone's a bit weary now, that doing anything
Oh, I'm not actually weary.
could be foolhardy.
Have we at least gotten to a point where we can see how the camp looks during, or the group looks during the day?
Yeah, absolutely. You can see if you wait just a few hours, you can see that the sun comes up. The orcs do still have orcs kind of on watch, but it does not seem as though they're quite so vigilant as they were the day before. There are actually quite a few that are not currently moving around. The area inside the camp seems quite a bit more open.
Aranel, can you see the prisoners from here?
Possibly.
Do we know how many prisoners there are?
Well, she got a great success, so
Oh.
we count them maybe.
Yeah, so Aranel, you spy around, and you can see that there are 10 prisoners. And with that, you can actually see Jari.
Yeah, I was about to say he's probably there, isn't he?
Yep.
It looks as though there are a number of them which are currently locked up in cages. And Jari himself is currently manacled to an iron spike which has been driven into the ground.
All right.
Well, 10 prisoners. Char's among them.
Well, I had a feeling that tough wolf would still be around.
Yeah, he seems to be a little too difficult to kill off. He's very hardy.
Yes.
So
Do we just... I mean...
I feel like the only way we're gonna get any answers is if we get to Jari.
Yes.
Whether or not that's worth the risk is another matter entirely.
Do... Yeah, do we all just try to sneak in and just kind of stealthily try to get them all out of there? I mean, the problem is they're they're probably in no condition to be stealthy on the way out. So I think the way out's just going to be a run.
Yes.
But at least if we can get the advantage and get some distance before it all turns into craziness, then maybe we can save a few of them.
What is the terrain like here? You said it's very rocky, craggy. Is it just open plain, though, or is it hills, mountains? What exactly?
You can tell that the area around does have some hills, but for the most part, apart from the occasional copse of trees, it is kind of an open plain.
Okay. Sorry. Can't cause a rock slide. Was hoping we could do something fun like that, but not here. Okay.
I think I'm going to be all that good at getting in there. I'm not exactly the stealthiest. But
We just need to find the tallest hill, and Aranel just needs to snipe the leader of the orc band, kill them in one hit somehow, and then they'll be in disarray. Not an actual plan.
That'd be quite the feat. It's tough because she's technically miserable right now, so...
yeah, that's why Thrush was saying everyone seems out of sorts and weary.
I'm okay.
I could take a shadow scar and not be miserable. I usually wait a little bit, but
What's everyone at right now?
I'm at 6 hope, 6 shadow.
I'm right on the verge of becoming miserable.
I'm at 4-1.
So basically what happens is our first big roll and everybody spends hope points. Everybody goes,
And then everything
half the group goes miserable.
which seems like basically it's not going to do the dwarves any good, and it's not going to do us any good.
Mhm.
I mean, I've got like 2 hope boosted rolls I can do before I gotta relent, but yeah.
Aranel will take another shadow scar. Ugh. I don't like it, but
Okay.
there's only so much I can do right now.
So I guess the question remains is, do we just get Jari or do we try to free everybody?
He'd be technically the easiest, I suppose, since he's not in a cage, but
Yes.
Or do we just follow them and figure out what they're... I mean, is it pretty obvious that they're heading to Fornos at this point?
I would say if you give me a travel roll, you could, or a riddle roll, one of the two.
Go riddle. That's better for me. Well, I guess they're about the same. Doesn't really matter.
there you go.
At this point, the fact that they have not turned south yet would probably indicate that Fornos Arin is not their ultimate destination.
Probably back towards the Atmore. Somewhere in the Atmore.
Yeah.
That's quite a trip for us to undertake in our current situation.
Yes, definitely. And this is probably one of the better spots for us to...
This is our last opportunity.
Yeah, because we can just run straight south. They might give up before they catch us, knowing they're headed into the
Shire, Bree, and all that.
or even Bree, yeah.
So then our plan is to try and at least get to Yari, even if we can't get him free. And if we can't get him free, let him know that we're going to try and catch up and save them. Let him know that hope isn't completely lost. But if we can get him out, all the better.
Yes.
Yeah, I think that's our plan.
I mean,
If there's an opportunity, we can try to get everyone. But
Larry is more than willing to roll the dice on a bunch of stealth rolls to see what happens.
Yeah, I think Thrush is going to have to position himself again on a slightly different hill, bow out or sword out, waiting because he's not stealthy enough to make his way down in there, and provide a distraction or covering fire or something.
I definitely don't think you should do that alone. So Miragar will stay with Thrush in that endeavor. And then if you two just want to go in and try to get Jari out at least, and if there's an opportunity to at least open the cage,
Yeah.
Yeah. I think the idea might be you guys find a hill, shoot fireworks off, and that will probably get their attention even more than just someone running, because that will actually look like a threat to them. Might draw more
I
than.
feel like fireworks would be like a last resort. Because if we can get in there without drawing any attention, I think it'd be best.
If we see you having problems, then I think is when we would
All right.
fire at them and/or fire off some sparklers.
All right.
What if you have one shaped like a dragon?
Don't think so.
Fine, they're just a big mushroom one then.
All right. I'll probably ask Miragar for one of them just so we have it just in case we need it. And then, Aranel and I will try to infiltrate and hope for the best. And if things go, if it looks like we hit a wall, then these two will do their thing.
Okay.
Worst comes to worst, then the orcs have more prisoners and we're with the dwarves. We can find our way out, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Think of all the information you'll be able to bring back to your people as a first-hand experience.
Right.
All right. And so, Aranel and Thrush, or Aranel and Larry. I caught myself right after that time. I didn't have to have anybody remind me. So, Aranel and Larry, you both are order of operations, both going to try to sneak into the camp, correct?
Yes.
Mhm.
Okay. So I will need stealth rolls from both of you. And given that they are not on high alert at this point, and the guard is relatively sparse, this will not lose any success dice. So it'll just be a normal roll.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
I'm gonna do. Do I do the magic success or just a hope?
I mean, you just gave yourself a scar, so you might as well
Yeah.
dump everything you got into it now.
Fuck it.
Nice.
Very good. All right. Yeah, easily enough. You can see that there are wide lanes through this camp where there are no orcs whatsoever. While you make your way through this camp, you can see as you pass tents, there are orcs which are currently sleeping. They're heavy and deep snores that permeate through the air, and they gurgle in their sleep. You can see Miragar and Thrush. So as you're kind of keeping an eye on Aranel and Larry as they stealth through the camp, making their way between all these tents in these wide lanes.
Aranel
pass
probably looks
through.
super graceful, and Larry's like crawling on his belly, like
Military crawling. You can see one individual is currently making his way around the camp. You see what few orcs are kind of straggling a little bit. He'll verbally abuse some, and he'll whip some on the back as if they're not doing something correctly. This is the image which you see, and you can see that this individual has hands tied on a rope around his neck, almost as if they are trophies.
That guy.
Okay, yep.
I heard him mentioned.
Yeah, he's kind of metal.
We've seen some of his handiwork.
Nice. Take a shadow point for that.
I'm sure Chrysanth appreciates that one.
Somewhere she just kind of clutched her chest like,
She just cringes anytime a bad pun.
Ears just burned a little bit.
Yep.
My senses are tingling.
And here you can see, as you make your way through the camp, you come up to this collection of cages and metal spikes driven into the earth. Most of these dwarves seem passed out. Jari himself hangs there loosely, his arms kind of taut against this metal spike, and his head hangs down limply as if he's currently passed out.
All right.
So is he tied with rope or is it chain?
Well, he's tied together with rope.
Okay. All right. If Larry can, he's probably gonna try to walk up behind Jari quietly, kind of put a mouth over his hand and be like, "Shh," and say, "Like it's me, Larry." Just so he
Mouth
doesn't.
over his hand.
Or yes, a hand over his mouth. Thank you.
And you hear he kind of yells, and then he looks around. You see his eyes kind of dart around wildly, and then you see the look in his eyes, like his eyebrows just raise, and like you see like a single teardrop from his eye. He's like, all right,
Yes.
and you cut his bonds.
Yeah, I'll cut his bonds and kind of just shh as I take the hand off of his mouth. Like, do you have any idea how they're holding the others? Can we get them out, or do we even have a chance?
But I don't believe any of them are fit for travel. I'm hardly fit for travel.
Was he the only one like kind of bound that way on manacles?
No, there's a couple of them which are like that. You'd look around and you'd guess that the cages just didn't have enough room for all of them.
Do the ones who are standing up like that seem like they're in better shape? Like they could possibly run, or no? Or is it Jari's the only one that's kind of...
You look around and you'd guess that, I mean, they all look battered, bruised, some of them bleeding from their face, arms, legs. And they all have their kind of heads hanging low. You see a couple of them with their heads up looking at you all and just not speaking.
Yeah. I mean, I would probably try to help all the ones that are manacled at least. I don't know if we can get the cage open.
We can't. I don't know if. I'm hesitant to leave any of them behind. These orcs are cruel.
Yes.
That's orcs tend to be.
Does Aranel know how to pick locks?
I mean, I am the burglar.
Yeah.
That is your whatever, and you've had 100+ years to learn things. So if anyone would, it would be you.
I only really practiced on this one elven lock.
I was gonna say it was
What?
probably the door to the restricted area.
Yeah.
Of the library.
That's how I learned so much.
I had to get past Fluffy and everything.
So if Aranel can attempt to pick a lock, then I would say have her do that while Jari and I maybe probably hand Jari my dagger just so he has something, and we'll start cutting at least the manacle ones out to see if any of them can even walk.
Okay. So one by one, you make your way around. You're able to get all of these dwarves off of their metal spikes, 3 in total. The other 7 are kept separately in 2 separate cages. As you probably insert a dagger into some of these locks in order to get them open. And I'll just, like, the book doesn't say anything about what rolls you roll for burglary. So I would say normally what I would say is, what's that?
I said maybe riddle. It's puzzle.
I was thinking riddle would be a good one, or craft. I'll give
Okay.
you your choice in that.
They're equally like decent rolls.
Which one feels lucky?
I think riddle feels the luckier. I will spend a hope.
Yes. Nope.
Very nice.
Thank you.
Very nice.
So you're able to get these cages open. They squeak ever so slightly as they open up, and you see a couple of dwarves. They grab hold of the cage and struggle to their feet. You see some of them old, some of them young. You actually do see a female dwarf. She's got a bit of a beard that comes down and a wispy mustache that kind of hangs down over her mouth. They all try to stand up and they nod at you. And Jari looks at you all and says, "What's the plan?"
Don't forget, if you guys have, and just mentally, don't forget you have the drought. If you see anybody who's really hurt.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think. How many of them look like they're the worst off, or are they all equally bad?
They're all pretty bad.
I would probably definitely give one to Jari.
Because I have 9
So do I.
rolls left. So, I think between the two of us, like if we both do
5 and 5.
5 and 5,
Okay. Yep. Sounds good.
we can at least get them endurance back so they're not.
All right, we will do that.
All right. And so you pass around this Miragar, and each one of them, as they take a swig of it, you can tell that they do not like this elvish liquor. But
They do feel better.
you see some of them begin to straighten out their posture and almost seem as though they are ready to travel.
Perfect.
All right, get out of here.
Yes.
You White Claw.
Maybe we could bring it back to 2021, the summer of the Twisted Tea.
Oh my God, yeah.
Red Bull gives you wings.
The third age.
All right, and so I would ask for, along with these dwarves, go ahead and both of you give me one more stealth roll. And what are Miragar and Thrush doing at this point? Are you just kind of hanging out, waiting?
Thrush has his bow ready, and he's ready to start loosing arrows at anyone who starts moving towards him.
Okay.
It's a good thing I used my magic success on that.
Marigar as well. He's got his little bow out.
Okay. And
Fireworks close
low.
by.
Yeah, stay low on the hill if we can.
I'll say that you're kind of perched low on a hill behind a rock which juts out from the ground, peering over it, arrow knocked and ready to go. And you watch as Aranel and Larry free these prisoners and make their way back through the camp nimbly. You can see that almost as they move, the sunlight seems to dim a little bit around the group, centered around Larry.
Yeah, my fancy ring.
And Aranel kind of darts between tents nimbly, sometimes passing over obstacles with the utmost silence and grace of a cat. But you somehow are able to get out with all of the prisoners in tow.
Holy cow, they did it.
They get there, just that was masterly done. And just give Yari a handshake, saying, we have to go. We're heading south. We need to follow, get across the Brandywine. We need to get you into civilized lands as quickly as possible.
Yes.
Unless you have a reason we shouldn't flee.
We'd be safer back at the Blue Hills. The way they were talking, they're planning something fierce. Talking about a fort over near the Ettenmoor. It's called Rathsareg, I think they said it was.
Do you think we should head back the way we came? Back into your hills, past the Vale?
If we can make it back to the Blue Mountains, the dwarves need to be warned or at least notified of what's going on.
Right. We need to make haste then.
Yes. Very well.
All right. And as this happens, you hear from down the hill, "Oi! The prisoners are gone! Where'd they go?" And you find them!
We totally
Bring them back here, and I'll tear them to shreds.
We
And you
totally
see-
book it.
Yeah, you see that the orc, which you had seen that has all of the hands wrapped around his neck, is running around frantically, whipping people, getting them up and out of bed, and mustering them to go and search. But
Well,
you all,
as I'm gonna say, as we walk away, I'm gonna elbow Miragar and be like, "Well, it's not a dozen dwarves, but it's close, right? You have something to tell Bilbo."
Yeah, I guess. And he looks back over his shoulder. I don't think we're out of danger quite yet.
No, but I think we got the hot pot done.
Thrush is already on the move, just leading the way.
Okay. So first and foremost, so everybody can get out and away from whatever forces they decide to send after you, I would have everybody give me an athletics roll.
Okay.
Of course.
So when it's blue like that, I can make it a magical success, right?
That's correct. Yep.
These boots are made for walking.
Right on. All right.
I'm gonna burn all of my. Oh shit.
I had an extra success die, so I can help with yours.
Good.
Yeah, I had
Well, that's why I did
as
it.
well.
So I did a magical success.
Yeah, I'm gonna need to die too.
Okay. But
Well,
me and
Thrush
got
and
him, so we're
Miragar
good.
both had one.
Okay.
Okay.
Thrush and Miragar, you got everything covered. So,
Yep.
you all make your way swiftly back across the plains, back towards the east in the Hills of Evendim, and ultimately toward the Blue Mountains with these 10 dwarves in tow. And I think that is as good a place as any to call this session.
Oh.
Ooh, that was tense.